In this week's video, we're going to be transplanting from trays into the raised beds. We have a lot of different vegetables to go into the ground. We have lettuce and squash and beets and onions and several more. So we're also going to be planting potatoes in the ground, which is going to be great. My dad went to farmers markets and sold organic produce for 30 plus years, and he learned a lot in that time. And as one of his proteges, I have been so blessed to learn from him. I'm going to be showing you guys how we are planting in our garden today. Let's get to work. If you watched our last video, you saw the reclaiming of this garden after the winter season. We built these beds out of logs and kind of enlarged the corner over here. And most of the beds in here got compost and cleaned up. Lots of weeds had to come out. And so this week, we're going to be putting plants into the soil. So these are the transplant trays. We have several different types of squash in here, and we also have beets, more beets, onions, some onions and leeks, lettuce, and kohlrabi. Also over here we have some potatoes that are very sprouted. Most of these guys have super long sprouts coming off. So we have some more over here that aren't quite so sprouted. All right, we have our tray of squash, and actually a few rows on this side are pumpkins. They're not quite ready to go in the ground yet. We're gonna wait till another day with them. With these trays, they're called Seedling trays, and we love these trays. They're our favorite type of tray. They have a pyramid shape inside, and so the plants will pop out with minimal root damage, and that's really important. You just find a pencil, a pen, or just a little piece of wood like so, and then you go underneath and you just carefully poke them out in holes. They pop right up, and they look really good. They have all the roots just bundled together and no issues. So this bed is about 7 feet wide. We're going to plant 2 rows of squash, 1 row along here, and then 1 row along this longer stretch. That'll kind of leave a little bit wider of a space in the middle, which can be an access point and a walkway. We're just gonna carefully grab out a little hollow, set the squash in, kind of press it down and make a little bit of a trough around it, just to kind of help hold water right there. The rest of our squash went in this bed in the back of the garden. These are zucchini. The squash that we planted in this big bed is summer squash. So it's a couple different types of yellow squash. So with this bed, we're gonna plant some beets and some lettuce right here. You don't want to tip this too much because you don't want your little plants falling off. And you can kind of put your finger as a stopper on whatever you're pushing with, and then that way you won't push too deep and poke them out like that. With the beets, what we're gonna do is plant them about 6 inches apart, and they take about 50 days. Little plants like this, you wanna be pretty gentle. Just back it down kind of firm right around the base of your plant. So here we have a double. I'm gonna try my best to separate these with their own roots and then plant them separate. They should be fine. All right, that's all of our beets. Next, we're going to poke all of these onions free and plant a bunch of onions right here in this spot. These onions are gonna be very similar in size to the beets, so we're gonna pretty much plant them the exact same distance apart. Now, we still have some lettuce and kohlrabi to plant from this tray. This bit of onion I'm gonna let grow and get bigger before it's planted. The kohlrabi is gonna go 6 to 8 inches apart. We're gonna put it in here in this part of the bed. All right, we're gonna plant this lettuce and these few escarole Now we planted the squash here, and of course squash are going to get big, but it takes a long time for the squash to get big. We're going to put the lettuce in pretty close to them, and the lettuce will be ready to harvest in a month to a month and a half. That's the way to grow the most in a small space, is when you can pair different plants that take a long time to grow and to mature along with plants that are fast. That way you're going to be able to use the soil twice, basically. So we're going to plant some lettuce in here, and then we're also going to plant radishes and arugula. And with radishes and arugula, they don't transplant well. What we like to do is just stick them right in the ground. They do great. They're super fast as well. Now, lettuce can be planted very close together. And then when you're doing it that way, what you're going to do is you're going to go through and harvest out baby lettuce, and that'll make really mild and delicious salads. And then you would let the remaining heads grow to full size. Right now, I don't have a lot of lettuce to plant at all, so we're going to just plant them about a foot apart so that they can grow big heads. And now for radishes and arugula. This is going to just get seeded right into the soil. So here on the arugula, it says that it takes 38 days before they're mature and ready for harvest. And on the radishes, it says it takes 22 days. We want to be careful not to put them too close together because, of course, with radishes, you're growing the root or the bulb, and you don't want them growing right on top of each other. With the arugula, it won't be as important. You still want root space, but again, the arugula is going to be making tops, not root bulbs. So we want to cover them with only about a ½ inch of soil. Try to keep any clods of dirt out of there and just put real fine dirt on top. And now for the arugula. Oh, those are tiny. All right. And with that, we're going to be moving next to potatoes. Planting the potatoes is going to look a little bit different because these guys are tubers that are sprouting. And some of these guys have some big sprouts on them. When we're not eating our garden grown potatoes, we like to buy them from Azure Standard, which is a food co-op that ships the naturally grown food into your area. We have enough that we can just let some sit off to the side in the root cellar, grow out eyes and then buds, and just plant them. So we're gonna plant a lot of potatoes, probably at least 3 beds worth right now. We have more potatoes sprouting than we actually have room to use right now, which is fine. Any that we don't use, we'll go back into the root cellar and we'll pull them out once we get some more garden beds prepared. Ideally, what I want to do is have potatoes spaced out through the year where we can have plenty coming from our garden and hopefully not have to buy any through the year. That would be the ideal. And then I want to grow a big crop right at the end of the year. We have frosts usually end of November that are going to kill off the tops, and then that's about the time when the potatoes themselves are ready to be dug at the end of the year and stored in the root cellar for our use during the winter time. I really am intrigued by and attracted to any type of food that you can store naturally without a refrigerator or cooler system. Potatoes are known by many to be the king of homestead foods and self-sustaining foods. Potatoes are so easy to deal with because they literally sprout out like this. You can plant this in the ground and you'll have a big return per plant. And potatoes, you know, depending on your area and your climate, they can last through winter time. Oftentimes around here, ours stay dormant during the winter and then they send up new sprouts through the soil in springtime. These produce a ton. They store really well, and they also have a lot of uses, and they're very valuable. When we have a discussion about what types of food are most important in a off-grid or self-sustaining type of lifestyle, potatoes are going to rank right up there, either at the top or near the top. So these are something super easy. Even if you're a beginner with growing food, these are definitely one of the starters. So let's get some beds ready and get these potatoes planted. What we're going to do here for planting the potatoes is we are going to make trenches down the length of the garden beds, and then we're just going to put the potatoes down in there about a foot apart. We're going to cover these potatoes with a few inches of soil. Once these potatoes are little plants, we're going to come along afterwards and hill them, which is basically where you just put a lot of soil around the base. Potatoes don't need to be planted super deep, and then once they start to put out their little tubers, then adding more soil on top just helps to keep the tubers safe from sunlight and to add some more nutrients along the way as the tubers are developing. So the potatoes finishes up our planting spree this evening. We have squash, lettuce, we put radish and arugula in here. Some more radish over there. We put squash in that far bed. We put potatoes in there, potatoes in here, potatoes in there, potatoes in there. We have kohlrabi, we have beets in the end here, onions, and then this whole last bed is all beets. So this is a pretty good planting for today. I'm very excited, you know, to see these grow. So we have to water everything in, and gonna do that carefully. We don't want to blast any of our new transplanted plants and injure them. So what you do is you shower over the small stuff like lettuce and the beets. And then what you do with the squash is you just spray right into the little bowl shape that we gave them. Sometimes you want to just water over it, not too heavy, and then come back after that soaks in and water over it again. But we're not done in this video. The last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna seed a tray, and I'm gonna show you guys how we do that, because you got to see the final thing coming out of the tray and going into the ground. But I just want you to see how we seed them into the transplant trays. This is a crucial step in our program of how we grow stuff. So I want to show this to you guys. So this is the way that we seed a tray. This is our favorite stuff around here. This is a potting soil, and it's by Miracle Grow. It's organic, and we get this from Costco. You can also use a seeding soil for this, but that might be more expensive. Not all potting soils are ideal because it has to have good nutrients so that all of the seeds will germinate. So you can either use a good potting soil like this one, or you can use a soil that is specifically made for seeding. This is a 72 count tray, -1. Now this tray is a little bit rugged looking. We've had these trays for at least a good 10 years and they're super good, so I don't mind if it looks a little rugged. We're gonna get the potting soil, carefully dump it on top. We'll clean up what we spill afterwards, but we want to be careful as we dump this on top. We just want to put enough in there to, so we're going to spread this all out into all of the slots real carefully. We'll work that in there. Perfect. And then next, we're going to go along with a finger and just poke each of these carefully. You can use 2 fingers so it goes faster. And you just want to poke nice deep holes in every slot. There we go. Perfect. So what we have to plant in here is round red beets. We're going to plant this kohlrabi in there, and then we're also going to plant some cilantro. Our favorite seed company is Johnny's Selected Seeds. They have a great assortment of organic seeds. They germinate the best of what we have used. We're going to do 4 or 5 rows of the beets. All right, I'm going to look over this. Anything that didn't sit in deep, I'm just going to poke right down. One row of cilantro here at the end, and then the rest is going to be seeded with kohlrabi. And here's our kohlrabi. These are tiny seeds, so we're going to try to be careful. Now we're going to grab a handful of the soil and just spread it over the top. We want to real carefully get it filling the holes, and we don't want to mound it up too much, but it's also going to have some runoff, and it's going to get compacted once we're watering it, just like so, and that'll be perfect. We're just going to pack it down just a little bit, just so that soil's not falling off. Now we're going to water it. You can see how that starts to soak in. That's going to make the soil more dense inside of there. We want to limit the soil that runs off, and that's going to be our rule that we're going to follow as these grow, because if you hit them hard with water, it's going to spray off the soil, and you're going to have plants with less than the preferred amount of soil on them. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I love working in the garden, and I enjoy sharing it with you guys. If you are new to gardening and you have a garden on your property, why don't you hit the comment section and let me know what you're growing. I'll see you guys in the next video.